So, how's it going? My name is Matt. This is Cookout Northwest. We are here today on a slightly breezy June afternoon. Weekend's here, so the plan is clear. We're barbecuing. Been talking about it for a little while. Finally got it for today. Something special. We're doing the brisket. Okay? So, first things first here. Got my grill set up. Let's take you over here. And we're going to do a top ignition deal. Just use about half a sleeve of coals for a bottom layer. And then we got our little starter cube. Man, he's a good friend. So, the chimney, we just want halfway full of your briquettes. Don't need any starter fluid, of course, because it just goes once we light that cube. So, I'll just leave her sitting there a sec. We'll get that started right away. So it'll take a while. Normally, I would be seasoning the meat maybe 8 hours to a day before doing this. But I just picked it up at the store, so it, the die is cast. I can't change it. But I'm doing it. I'm going to be eating brisket today. So it's a little afternoon, and what I got here, there's the fat cap side. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of fat here. So what I'm going to do is, smells pretty good, a little aged. That big fat chunk right here, I'm going to cut about half of that off. And you really want 1/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of fat on that side. And what I'm going to do is score it across with this knife and make, diamond it out, so that as that fat renders on it and down into the meat, it just kind of seeps in, because there's that back membrane between the fat and the actual meat, so that that's when you see the fat just cooking off of something. It doesn't get down into that meat. And it's absolutely imperative that we do it that way, because it's going to make it taste so much better. I mean, briskets weren't really big for a long time, just because there were so many other cuts of meat that were naturally moist when you cook, like your ribeye round and whatnot. Just about anything can make that taste good, and it only takes 2 hours to cook. But they found with the brisket, all you have to do is cook that freaking thing for 6 hours, 5-6 hours on, you can even cold cook it like 160, 150. Do it for overnight, and 12, 15 hours later, you got a brisket that will just melt in your mouth. That thing is just falling apart. But for the sake of time-wise, I mean, this will be good too, but it's like, it's connected to the amount where you can just kind of pull it apart. It's kind of like pulled pork, I guess. And that's what you'd want to have. Anyway, so I'm going to trim that. Let me see if I can get us at that angle here. Oh, how strong the magnet is. Open that thing. But there we go. For trimming, I just use one of these little knives, because I know they're always sharp. So, just going to go right in. And that big chunk of fat. Cut into it there. And that's mainly what we needed to get rid of. the rest of it is kind of cool. I can just cut up on it like this and, you know, fold it out. Just to make sure that we don't just have a big chunk of fat and it's, you know, sitting on the outside and then just rolling off. We don't want any vat frying sort of action going on. But, there, and it can be as simple as that. And now, I'm just going to score it. Now this knife isn't that sharp. I might need to take a whetstone to it. But it shouldn't take more than a couple strokes with this to get your blade straightened out. But, I mean, you're only going to really put an edge on it with a whetstone or some other sharpening device, a grinder, what have you. Okay. So, you're going to want to and then we'll just cross cut, diamond it out. That'll be kind of good looking on there once we finally get really rolling with this thing. So I'm going to make them a little bit more defined on there. I didn't even use this one. This knife is actually sharper most of the time. Okay, now that's cut into pretty good. I don't know why you keep going like that. So, we're going to take our just brown sugar. I like all my meat a little sweeter. That's weird. Maybe I won't use all of it though, because I mean that's, I'll have to because of the other side. And then I got here garlic salt, just regular. Should pop when I turn it. Of course, now that I've been touching this meat, I'll want to wipe off the outside of this shaker when I'm done. But really the important part's rubbing that in there, into those little cuts that I made. But and the salt brings out moisture. It'll make this thing so juicy. Eye is a wonderful thing. So, do that, rub it in real good. Alright. So, that's about it for prepping it up. I'm going to get this going, set the grill up, we'll get her lubricated up, and I'll set it up in a way that the top ignition burns it down, but it doesn't start up all the coal at once. Because, see, I figure half a sleeve will be kind of what we want. Because that's about 100, 150 degrees for, you know, 1.5, 2 hours to me. Sealed inside that, that cooking chamber. So, if I just go half sleeve by half sleeve, I can trace out the amount of coal behind it to keep this thing going for 5 or 6 hours. And then I'll place coals. It's a very interactive sport doing the brisket. A lot of guys will cook it at night and just stay up all night, or get 1 or 2 hours of sleep in between, because you got to check on it. You don't want it to be too hot. You don't want your fire to actually accidentally blow out, and then you have a halfway cooked, you know, $60 to $100 piece of meat. So Anyway, that's just one way to look at it. This is Matt, Cookout Northwest, so I'll be right back with you with part 2 in this series, making the brisket. Oh, and we're also going to we have some great sides lined up too, so stay tuned. I'm going to grill some corn. Mexicorn, that is. Ha ha!